Good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm chatting with Kal Malhi from Hertz Energy. In this interview, we discuss the recent fall of the price of lithium. We also discuss the recent push by various mining bigwigs to try to get the Canadian government to push more mandated funding into the mining sector by the Canadian pensions. And we also talk about Hertz Energy, who just acquired some interesting uranium assets that the company plans to work on with modern day technology. All right, everybody, enjoy the interview. Kal, thanks so much for joining us today.
Steve, thanks for having me. Nice to reconnect.
So, Kal, let's start with what's happening with the price of lithium right now. It's been, we could use the word bubble, perhaps. The price of lithium was up around $60,000 a ton for lithium carbonate. Today, I think it sits around $5,000, give or take. We'll put the chart up while I'm talking so that our audience can see. What do you think has happened here, and why is there hope for Canadian lithium junior investors?
Steve, I think lithium up until now was tied to China. A lot of the batteries were made in China. A lot of the electric vehicles were the electric components were manufactured in China. And the supply of lithium was tied to China. And we've seen a collapse in the Chinese economy. And that's the reason I believe we've seen a drop in the lithium price.
So I think the simple question here is, why do you think that lithium in Canada can recover?
Steve, as I said, we've been China has been our only consumer for lithium up until now. And I think we're seeing the governments are funding mega plants for electric vehicle battery plants. We're seeing infrastructure developed. We're seeing government grants all across the world for critical minerals. So I think we're getting a source of supply chain built where there is a demand outside of China, independent of China. We're also seeing adoption of electric vehicles that will eat up the demand, the lithium supply. So that's why I believe we're going to see a recovery. And you look around, every government's funding some sort of electric vehicle project around there with billions of dollars. So that will cause the resurrection of lithium, and then we will not be dependent on China.
There was a recent editorial piece done by Pierre Lassonde and Frank Giustra, who are obviously two massive, I will say, moguls in the Canadian mining world, where they were pushing the Canadian government to mandate pension funds to invest in Canadian resource companies. I know you've been around in the space for a long time. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that we should be mandating pension funds to invest in mining, or do you think that the government should try to find ways to make mining more attractive in Canada?
Steve, again, those are two legends that I've always respected very well. So, I agree with them that the pension funds should be investing. But I think for them to invest, they need an economy based on the business of lithium electric vehicles. So the governments are doing that. They're funding the early infrastructure, the early economies. And I think we're getting there. We're at the cusp, but we're at the very start of that, but we're seeing that happen.
So Hertz Energy, let's get into Hertz Energy. You guys recently acquired some interesting uranium assets that were at one point owned by Caminco and Noranda, I believe. What can you tell us? What's behind the decision to get into uranium?
Steve, again, uranium has come up to the forefront as a source of energy as we come towards clean energy in this generation. And the price of uranium has skyrocketed in the last months. So we came across this project. It was explored in the 1970s by Caminco and Noranda, two major mining companies. They had very positive results, but the price of uranium collapsed and they moved on to other projects. So we were lucky to have advisors and consultants who helped us identify this target, and we've been able to acquire it pretty inexpensively without dilution to our company and shareholders.
So what's the next steps for these assets now that you have these? Is it am I understanding from reading the news releases that you guys think that there's an opportunity using modern technology to pick up where they left off? Are we looking at sort of an airborne gravity survey? What's the plan for the next steps here if I'm an investor and I like the uranium side of the story and I want to know what the company's going to be doing with these assets over the near term?
Yeah, Steve, we just closed a $2.5 million financing just a couple of months ago. So we're well funded for this year, and we'll be exploring our lithium projects in James Bay with some very strong geological partners. And we plan to do the same on our Nunavut uranium projects. We think having that starting base of positive results from the 70s and using modern technologies. I'm not going to speak about what the geological program will be because we have very educated people who are guiding us, and they will be designing the programs. But we plan to be very strategic and hit those assets with the best and the most modern technologies that we have at hand.
Kal, there are lots of junior mining companies in Canada. There's lots of companies that are doing lithium. There's lots of companies that are doing uranium. What's different about Hertz Energy? If I'm watching this and I'm saying, okay, there's thousands of mining companies in Canada that trade in the sub 20 cent range that I'm looking at taking a shot at, what's different about Hertz Energy? Why should I be considering it within my portfolio of potential junior mining companies that I'm interested in?
Steve, Hertz Energy is different in that we're not a one-trick pony. We have several lithium projects that are district scale in James Bay as well as in Arizona and Brazil. We also have a technology for extracting lithium from hard rock in partnership with Penn State and hopefully a very big mining company upcoming, although nothing's guaranteed. Also, we've acquired the Nunavut uranium. But what makes us different is we have capital group behind us. Myself, I have Bull Run Capital that's behind Hertz. We also have a listed investment issuer called Colored Ties Capital that's behind Hertz. We also have the support of Canaccord Capital as well as other capital groups. So unlike a lot of capital or junior mining companies that starve for capital, we're fortunate that we're well funded. We've got the teams behind us that are vested to keep us well funded going forward.
So if I'm a potential investor or I'm somebody who's watching the story, what should I be looking out for over the remainder of 2024?
Steve, we believe we've got some exciting projects in James Bay that are in the center of discoveries. Our new Snake Lithium project is being drilled around us right now in the winter as we speak by Brunswick Exploration and Harfang. They should have results surrounding us. Next to our AC/DC project, Rio Tinto has exploration programs, and we had some positive results from only 2 days of work last year. We're going to be getting onto that ground as soon as possible. And again, the Cominco following up on Cominco's results from the 70s in the Nunavut uranium. Those are all exciting events. But more than that, the technology with Penn State is also going to be a game changer as we advance it forward.
All right. Well, Kal, thanks so much for hopping on here today, and please keep coming on here as the story unfolds. I'm excited to see what you guys have lined up, and we'd love for you to come on and update us as there's more developments.
Okay, awesome, Steve. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this interview, please smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Also, let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks, everyone.